know.
Oh.
Kid, what's the matter?
Oh, I can't help it. That's the first dinner I ever cooked. All right. Come and get it. We've got to step lively now if we're going to make that meeting at the town hall.
Howdy, folks. Hello. Well, we're here. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening. Oh, isn't it a lovely evening? They're shy, aren't they?
Oh, good evening there, stranger. Say, tell me, what kind of a crop do you think they're going to have this year?
Ask me in September.
What is it? Oh, look. I'm awful glad to see you tonight, stranger.
Huh? Yeah?
Oh, we certainly do like your little town, Mr. What did you say your name was?
I don't think I said.
Chatterbox is quite a character, ain't he?
Don't you remember me, Mr. Station Master?
Wait, well, yeah. Well,
Hello, Jeff.
hello.
What's the matter with all these people? Have they got dyspepsia?
Nope.
Are they always like this?
Yep. Good evening, folks.
Makes my blood boil every time I read that newspaper of his. Stonefield Democrat.
Going the same way as party. I suppose you'll start drinking, too. Newspaper man.
Pardon me, mister. But could you tell me how soon the meeting begins?
8, promptly at 8.
Thank you so much. You see, we're strangers. We just moved here. We're the Valentines.
Oh, sure. Where's your mother and father? I'd like to get an interview.
Oh, are you a newspaper man?
Well, there seems to be some question about that.
Mom and Dad right over there. I'll introduce you. If I'd known we were going to be interviewed, I'd have brought our scrapbook. But that's all right. Dad won't tell you everything. You'll like him. Everybody does. Here's a reporter who wants to interview us.
Mighty glad to know you, Mr. Valentine. Mrs. Valentine. I'm Mike Shea of the Democrat, county's leading weekly.
Democrat up in this part of New England?
Yes, sir. You're looking at the editor, reporter, and typesetter all rolled into one.
Well, tell me something. Do they read the paper here?
They've got to. Only one in town.
Well, Mr. Shea, we really don't want any publicity.
Well, now, kid, I wouldn't go so far as to say that.
Neither would I. You see, I promised, Mr. Shea.
Why, you're news. You people are an asset to this town, and believe me, it can certainly use a few assets.
Well, thank you very much, my friend. You might say that we're going to try and fulfill our duties as good citizens
Judy.
of the community.
Pardon
you
me,
might
I'll see you
also
later.
quote me that...
He's nice, isn't he?
Judy, I've got to talk to you.
I haven't time.
After the meeting, then?
I'm sorry, but we're staying for the church social.
And after that, we're going to listen to a little short wave down at my radio store. I don't think Judith wants to talk to you, Shay.
Oh, now, Freddie, put yourself in her place, and why, you'd be just palpitating to talk to me. Are you palpitating, Judy?
Not so you could notice it.
Well, there's your answer.
Fred, please, I'll be with you in a moment. Well, what do you want?
I want to get this whole mess straightened out, Judy. You've been dodging me for a week now.
I don't intend to stand here and let you insult.
What if I did print an editorial calling your Aunt Hester a museum piece? She is a museum piece. But what I say about her, no matter what it is, it shouldn't make any difference between you and me.
Look, Mike, what you said about my Aunt Hester is only part of it. It's everything you've been doing since you took over your father's paper.
Now, wait a minute.
Oh, I know. You had to print what you pleased. Save the town from stagnation. You wouldn't settle down like a normal person. No, not you.
That's not you talking, Judy. That's your Aunt Hester.
Would you like me to elucidate, young man?
I don't think it'll be necessary, Aunt Hester.
Oh, good evening, ladies.
Good evening, Fred.
Shall we go in, Judith?
I think we'd better find our seats. Will you excuse us?
What a shame.
Yeah, the plot's all twisted. Girl gets wrong boy.
We'll have to fix that up, Dad.
If you ask me, that girl could use some good advice.
Just
who, may I ask, could use some good advice? Well, I was speaking about a cousin of mine from...
A cousin we have in Topeka. He had some trouble with his mother-in-law. We were just talking about it.
She must have been weaned on a pickle.
Come on, Dad. It's town hall tonight.
Come on, let's go in.
Used to be so much...
You don't know enough to pound sand down a rat hole.
Maybe so, but I know enough to stop talking once in a while.
Stop your squabbling, Sam. A man's a right to speak his mind here, whether you agree with him or not. Go ahead, Pete. This bridge has got to be repaired before she collapses.
How much will it cost?
Well, Mr. Baldwin calculates it'll cost about $50.
Then I say wait till she collapses.
Now, that fella's wrong. Costs less to repair the bridge than it would to build a new one.
Sure, Dad. You've got opinions. Why don't you say something?
Anybody got any more to say about the proposition?
Go on, Joe.
Come on, Dad.
All right, then. Matters defer to next year. Well, I guess that finishes the agenda. Yes, that finishes the agenda. Now, if someone will move to adjourn the town...
Mr. Moderator.
Yeah, Mr. Shea?
Folks, you know I couldn't let a meeting go by without reminding you that there are still a few young people living in Stonefield. Or should I say vegetating?
Yeah, and most of them ain't dry behind the ears yet.
Maybe so, but we don't claim to be suffering from dry rot. But we figure that's what ails Stonefield. Fellow citizens, we've got a real progressive program for our town, and it won't cost a great deal of money to put it into effect.
Seems that being progressive and spending other people's money amounts to about the same thing.
Now, I'll tell you what's keeping us broke. Tradition. You're all afraid to do anything any differently than your grandfathers did it.
What's wrong with the way they did it?
Nothing. Only they did it in another century. Now, I respect tradition as much as the next man, but I don't respect it when it stands in the way of progress. Now, let's get wise to ourselves. Let's realize that we're not living on a desert island, but right spang within the borders of a big, lively, up-and-coming nation, the United States.
We've heard all this before, Mr. Shea.
Well, anyway, for the record, I want to propose our usual resolution, that a board be appointed, no member of which may be over 30 years of age, to promote Stonefield as a tourist center, to attract new industries here, and in general to make our town a more prosperous and progressive place in which to live. You got a terrific idea there, kid. Thanks, but we haven't got a chance.
Mr. Moderator? Miss Appleby?
Who is she?
School teacher. Taught everybody here, and she's still teaching them.
I think it's about time to put a stop to all this nonsense. Ever since my forefather, Caleb Appleby, founded Stonefield, in the dear dead sacrificial days before the Revolutionary War, and down through the decades of American progression, we've managed to get along very nicely without factories or tourists, even without Michael Shea. However, since Michael and his supporters were once my pupils, I still cannot help but feel a certain responsibility for them. So, before their harebrained schemes to get rich quick lead them into serious trouble, I should like to remind them of the fundamentals they were taught at school. There's only one road to prosperity, and that's the rocky one. Hard work, diligence, and thrift.
Thank you, Miss Appleby. And now to dispense with the matter.
Mr. Moderator.
Yeah? Mr.
Valentine, Joe Valentine, you know.
Dad, give him the old cannibal act.
Oh, yes. Getting up here tonight, it's my first night in town. It kind of makes me feel like the vegetarian that was addressing a bunch of cannibals that was having them for dinner. But don't get me wrong, folks. I like this town very much, and I'm really proud and happy to be a member of your little community. But the trouble with all you people is, well, you're still living in the horse and carriage age. You go back so far that you think the young people should be seen and not heard. That's where you're wrong. The young people have the bright ideas.